This is Pod Populi, podcast for the people.
So I sit down and kind of just like I'm sitting now, and I probably should have embraced the position of attention, but I wasn't. and he says to me very casually, he says, "So Jay, what seems to be a problem with your attitude?" And I said, just equally as casually, "I got no attitude problems, sir." Guy launched himself across the desk at me.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. He was pissed. He's
like, 3-star.
Yeah, he goes, he was a big dude. And he's like, his call sign was Bad Fred. He goes...
Morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome aboard the Max Afterburner podcast, sponsored, powered, brought to you by the No Fallen Heroes universe. Extremely fired up. We got a in-studio guest today, Jay Kopelman from the Mission Within, Executive Director of the Mission Within. Thanks for joining us, my brother, and making the trek all the way out here.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me here, Whiz.
Now... So Jay's a Marine, so we're gonna speak slowly to Jay throughout the podcast.
Yeah, there's no crayons for me to snack on. What's up with that?
Ones and zeros, grunts and groans. So incredible bio. I could read it all and stuff like that, but I prefer to dig into stuff and just talk, sure. Man. Especially since a portion of your 20 plus years in the Marine Corps was it was in some pretty significant stuff. The Battle of Fallujah, it looks like, and that was not a pleasant experience. Do you know Justin Lepre?
I've spoken with Justin.
Okay, good. Yeah. I think he was a Fallujah guy, 2004.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that came up. Maybe.
Yeah. You should talk about that because that was a big impact on his life. But anyway, talk to us about your career in the Marine Corps. Talk to us about some of that Fallujah stuff, and then we'll journey to why you're sitting here today.
Yeah, fantastic. So my career didn't start in the Marine Corps. I actually started in the Navy. So and then I wanted to join the men's department, and so did an inter-service transfer in 1992. So I came in 1985, went to the whole Richard Gere Officer and Gentleman Program, Aviation Officer Candidate School.
AOCS,
back in Pensacola before they started letting all the Navy officers come. So went through that program. Got through that, went to flight school down in Corpus Christi for primary, and then Beeville for jet training. And I guess I screwed up the monkey skills going out to the boat the first time.
Which is very easy to do.
So, I had big pucker factor, I'm sure, and went out there, DQ'd the first time. They said, yeah, not a problem. You're close, so you're going to go again. But you're going to get 10 traps next time instead of 4 because you're not going to finish jets. There's a big push for E2C2 guys.
Oh boy.
And so you like guys who qualled, they pulled a bunch of us aside, said, yeah, you're going E2C2 pipeline.
Oh man.
So sad, too bad.
Needs of the Navy, right?
Needs of the service. So went ahead and did that, went up to Norfolk and flew C2s out of Norfolk for a bit. And then I decided, this whole Navy thing isn't for me. And they were quite in agreement. So, when I was... There was mutual dislike. So when I was flying in the RAG, so learning to fly the C2, I got in a little bit of trouble there. They tried to take my wings. At that point, I said, you know what? You can have them, but there's a caveat. I want a contract to go to Buds. They said, done and done. Like, I had never seen anything get approved in the military so friggin' quickly, right? Like, they were, please, and don't let the door hit you on the way out. And so, in the meantime, I had to go see some Admiral over at Oceana. 3-star guy. Good guy, I get there and go into his office, sit down, he comes, stands up, he goes, "Hey Jay, Fred Lewis, good to meet you. Yeah, have a seat." Oh, it's pretty cool, but I didn't really notice the lieutenant commander or commander standing in the corner, taking notes and observing.
Oh boy!
So I sit down and kind of just like I'm sitting now. And, I probably should have embraced the position of attention, but I wasn't. and he says to me very casually, he says, "So Jay, what seems to be a problem with your attitude?" And I said, just equally as casually, "I got no attitude problems, sir." Guy launched himself across the desk at me.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. He was pissed. He's
a
like,
3-star.
Yeah, he goes, he was a big dude. And he's like, his call sign was Bad Fred. He goes, "So what the fuck is this?" It starts reading me the riot act. And now I got big pucker factor, right?
Whoa.
So he said, "Get the fuck out of here. I don't ever want to see you in my office again. And if I do, you're finished."
Oh, my God.
Done with everything. He said, "And by the way, you're not going to Bud's. You're going back to Fly. We spent too much money on you."
Whoa.
So I got nothing good that day.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So, finish up the rag, go fly in my fleet squadron. While I was there, I heard about an opportunity to do an inter-service transfer to the Marine Corps. Mm-hmm. So it's essentially, you make the application, then the Navy has to release you simultaneous with the Marine Corps accepting you.
Yeah.
So I had to go to D.C., run back and forth between the Navy and headquarters Marine Corps, getting paperwork signed to have it all done at the same time. Got it done. And in February of 92, I woke up in the morning as a Navy lieutenant, went to bed as a Marine Corps captain.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. So spent 6 months or so in Norfolk at Fleet Marine Force Atlantic, it was called then. Now it's MAR-4 Lant, if it even exists. I guess it still exists. And I worked in the Aviation Logistics Division for a Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel who was a Harrier guy. So he says, "Hey, I'm going to send you down to Cherry Point. You're going to get sim time in the Harrier, and then you're going to get 2-seat Harrier flights and get stick time in the Harrier." I'm like, sounds good to me.
Yeah.
So I was doing that. Ended up going to a career level school for captains that August or September. Spent 9 months in Quantico. They didn't send me to TBS,
the
basics.
TBS?
Yeah, I didn't go to TBS.
Wow.
Yeah, so to this day, there are guys who say, "Oh, you're not a real Marine officer because you didn't go to TBS."
Okay, dude.
Yeah, but I out PT you, I out shoot you. I got more combat trigger time than you do, so
yeah.
I guess that makes me a Marine.
Yeah.
And, oh, by the way, I know how to treat my troops better than you do.
There you go.
So that's what really makes me a Marine.
That's funny.
So did that school, went to Cherry Point to fly the 130, and then, to the RAG there.
Yep.
Orders out to El Toro, and as soon as they got there, the squadron's like, "Yeah, you're not a real 130 guy. You didn't grow up in the community, so you're going over to the Marine Aircraft Group, and you're going to work over there." So I worked in the 3 shop there in ops, and they said, the OPSO was a Hornet guy. Everybody in there was a Hornet guy but me. He's like, "Yeah, make yourself available to learn to fly the Hornet." So I'm like, sure. It was a good deal.
Wow.
So I did that, work there for about a year, did some flights with the Herc Squadron, and said, "You know what? Flying wasn't always my passion. It was just something I wanted to try, So I got my 100 traps and 100 catapults, and, I was done.
I'm good.
Yeah, I was good. So I applied to, I talked to my guy in D.C. I said, "Hey, you have an Anglico position." So Anglico is Air Naval Gunfire Liaison Company.
Yep.
So you get to jump out of planes, fast rope, call in close air support, do all the fun stuff. Got orders to First Anglico down at Camp Pendleton and never went back to the cockpit.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It was good. However, my jumping around and Navy to Marine Corps, getting out of the cockpit, none of that was good for the career.
Of course. Yeah.
So when I got passed over for Major the second time, got out of the Marine Corps in January of 97, went right in the reserves, and then right away got active duty special work orders. So ADSW.
Yeah.
So I went down to Coronado, and I was an instructor at the TACP school there.
Oh, yeah.
They had me become a Marine combat instructor, water survival. Went to Hearst Master School, so helicopter rope suspension training. I was teaching guys how to fast rope, rappel out of helos. It was great. You know, it was a PT fest.
Yeah.
And just had a great
good
time.
Shape, good stuff.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Great place to live.
Yeah. It was all good. Then got out, went to a Reserve Anglico unit up in Long Beach, 3rd Anglico. I was working in Orange County on 9/11. My Anglico team up in Orange County and Long Beach, I had taken them to support the 11th MU for an exercise in the Middle East while they were on deployment. So we fly into Jordan, into Queen Alia International Airport, and we get met by the MU, OPSO, and EXO. And they said, by the way, you're not staying. You're getting on planes tomorrow morning and going back. I'm like, wait a second. I just set up.
Whoa.
I had Liberty set up for my guys after the exercise. I had leave. We were going to Paris.
Oh, man.
We had flights to Paris after this exercise to go meet. I can't remember how I met this gal or who she was or anything, but I had met some French girl who's like, yeah, if you're ever over, I'll show you around Paris and be your tour guide. So my guys and I were all set, had to cancel that. What happened was this was like 2000 maybe, and Osama bin Laden had threatened the ARG, the Amphibious Ready Group. Right? They were threatening to attack them, and all, so they called off the exercise, moved the ships out of the Persian Gulf, and we got sent home. So I got one night in some crummy hotel in Amman, just listening to the muezzins
and the call to prayer
all night. Like, it was unbelievable.
Yeah,
it was my first experience with that. There would be many more.
Yeah,
so you get used to it. But so did that. Went back. 9/11 happens. I was like, oh damn, we're definitely going to war. So I called the OPSO at 11th MU, and I said, if you need anybody, I'm available. Like, within a month, I had orders to active duty. So by October of 2001, I was on active duty back down at Camp Pendleton with the 11th MU, did a pump with them, and then came back from that. And then the CO decides he's going to get the MU command element somehow, got us over to Iraq. Like, you know, we spent a couple weeks in Kuwait, kicked off the invasion into Iraq, and we went. Now, we're doing nothing, right? Like, we're a MU command element. There's no real war fighters in that. You know, we got a few infantry officers, but for the most part, it's, you know, it's just cooks, you know, bottle washers, whatever, right? You know, admin, legal.
Staff,
and so I got us kicked out of Iraq. One of the faculty advisors from when I was at amphibious warfare school is now a colonel. And so I got sent advance party to, I think it was Al Qut, where first Mardiv was. And so I'm like, Ron, how? He's like, Jay, good to see you. I'm like, Ron, it's awesome, man. How are you doing? And I said, I got to talk to you. So I told him what was going on, that we had just come off deployment. We're going to have to go back and do workups, the whole deal. He goes, I want you to come talk to General Natansky. So I go see General Natansky. He's like, Jay has a story to tell you. So I told him what was going on. Okay, you guys are done. When the rest of the command element gets here, I'll talk to the CO and send you guys home. So CO comes in a couple days later, goes to see General Natansky, and sits down, starts to tell him, we can do this. And he goes, hold on. Here's what's going to happen. You guys are going to pack up. In a couple of days, you're going to retrograde back to Kuwait, and you're going to go home because you got workups. And so,
wow.
Yeah, unless that CO has ever listened to one of my podcasts, he doesn't know. I don't think he knows that it was me. I mean, they decided when we were at one location that they were just going to send out, you know, snuffies, whomever, to go do patrols in some village.
Come on.
And they wanted me and this OPSO to like be responsible for all this stuff. And I said, I'm not going to be responsible.
You're gonna get people killed. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Potentially or some civilians going to get killed.
Correct.
You know, and they wanted, you know, young captains, lieutenants to lead these patrols, they were calling them, air quotes, right?
Yeah.
And so we get sent back, retrograde, come back, and then an opportunity came up at 1st Marine Expeditionary Force, 1MEF. They needed soft LNO. So I went over, talked to the G3 there. He's like, oh, yeah, if you want it, job's yours. So I went back, told them I was leaving, went over to 1MEF as the soft LNO, got to travel all over the Middle East on my own, going deconflicting Marine Corps and soft missions, you know, all through the AO. So I stayed there in that role in August, September of 2004. Got sent over to Iraq to train Iraqi special forces who were so special, they were called the Specialized Special Forces. And every 18, 19-year-old kid you met, I was colonel in Saddam Special Forces. Okay. They were all colonels in Saddam Special Forces, right? Yeah. Then we start planning for Operation Phantom Fury, the invasion of Fallujah in November. The 1MEF chief of staff says, hey, Jay, I got a deal for you. Like, what's going on, sir? Well, you're going to take an Iraqi Army battalion into the Battle of Fallujah, and then you're going to link them up with 1-3, 1st Battalion, 3rd Marines, and you are going to hand them off for mentoring in combat operations. Now, hand them off meant I got to stay in Fallujah, you know, so plenty of firefights, lots of disgusting things that we saw. Probably the grossest thing I ever saw was not the pig pile of dead bodies that was outside a house one day, but we're rolling down a main thoroughfare in Fallujah, and we see a body in the road. It's like, that dude is like doing the funky chicken on the ground. As we got closer, though, he's decapitated, big fat guy, you know, the fat's coming out the top of where his head was, out the hole, and he's still jerking. Like, what the hell is like a chicken with its head cut off?
Oh, my God.
As we got closer, we could see a dog between his legs, buried up to its shoulders, up in his body cavity.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah, having at it.
God almighty.
Yeah.
You don't see that every day.
Thankfully not.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So while I was there, 1-3 during a firefight, they found a 5-week-old puppy in a tipped over 55-gallon drum. So they snag it, take it back to their CP. I'm like, what are you guys going to do with this dog? You know, it's against regs, right? General Order 1A says no feeding or care of animals, wild or domestic. We're going to take him back to Hawaii. Say, well, that's not happening. Hawaii has some of the strictest quarantine in the world. Yeah. So, by the way, you flew from Hawaii to Okinawa. Then you took ships over here. How are you going to get the dog on a Navy ship?
Yeah.
And then on a plane back to Hawaii? It's not going to happen. But I know people. Like, one thing I've always had is good contacts. I know people. Let me make some calls. I can get the dog back to the States, and then you guys come get him in San Diego and take him. It worked out. It's a long story. I mean, I wrote a whole book about
I saw
this.
that. Yeah,
it's called From Baghdad with Love. You know, if you want to get the whole story, go read the book.
Wow.
I get the dog, get him back to the States ultimately. They never showed up. So now I'm stuck with a dog with PTSD. I mean, bad. You had it bad. Had him for 11 years until he just got so mental. The vet said it's time to put him down.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah. So come back from all that. You know, like I said, lots of firefights, explosions, the attendant TBIs that came with all that fun stuff. And severe PTSD. Like I was a mess, but I didn't know it. And so get back, I'm now senior watch officer at 1MEF, and then ultimately the deputy director for advisor training. And toward the end of my career, 2-star general who was selected to stand up MARSOC says, hey, I want you to come with me and stand up MARSOC. So I had met a gal. Of course, there's always a girl involved, right? In making bad decisions. And so I said, can I have a day to think about it? He said, absolutely. So I went back to him the next day. I said, respectfully, I'm going to retire. So this is like 2006. And yeah, that was it. I finished up in October of 2006, retired. I had already been married. The book was coming out. Did ridiculously well. Like it was, just the blind squirrel finding an acorn kind of thing.
Exactly.
And so, so that was it. That was the end of the career. But, it was great.
Yeah.
Overall, it was amazing.
They got their pound of flesh, though, it sounds like. So.
Well, they always do.
Correct.
Right? Mother Green or the Navy, whoever it is, Army, Air Force, they get their pound of you stick around that long, they're gonna get theirs for sure.
So came home, went to the civilian world, did some good stuff in the civilian world. When did you kind of start, recognizing there were any problems, and then let's kind of transition into the medicine calling?
Yeah. So I think the first time I realized there was a problem was probably the day I ate the business end of my SIG P220 that I had carried in Iraq. I had a son by that point, and something just said, don't do it. Do not start this thing.
Yeah.
So,
isn't that incredible? They, just the images of my 3 kids kept me, yeah.
And that's probably the only thing that kept me alive. That's the only reason I'm here today.
They're a gift. The children are a gift from God.
They are. Unfortunately, we don't always recognize that. And when you have,
amen,
when you have serious issues, you don't see it. The next indication was probably the night my ex-wife threw me out, and she had every right to do it. I was a flaming dumpster fire, just a raging asshole, but didn't know why I was like that, right? Like you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. And that makes it worse too, because no matter what's going on with this shell, there's a perfect soul inside of you.
Inside of everybody.
When I sat with the medicine and I was on my knees begging for forgiveness for being that piece of shit, God, of course, forgave me. And he said, Matthew, I don't make imperfect things. This I can help you with, but you're perfect. So there's a conflict. I guarantee, even though you were a raging asshole, there's still that perfect soul inside of you. It's like, dude, I'm in here, which almost makes it worse, right? It's because you battle. You're like, you're raging against that perfect thing that's inside of you.
Yeah, you do rage against it, but you still don't know what to do about it.
Correct.
Right. Which is
we have no tools.
Super frustrating.
Correct.
I had 0 tools. I was never given those tools growing up. I suffered abuse as a child. My mother was physically abusive to my youngest brother, like truly beat the hell out of him. He still sees her, but I think it's like Stockholm syndrome. What she tried to do to me, I typically don't talk about. It's, it's the kind of thing parents should never do to a child.
Yeah.
And so I have no relationship with her. But those things are the basis of later traumas, right? They magnify those later traumas and make them worse because you've been carrying something your entire life. You've never spoken about it.
Correct.
And sometimes you don't even remember that it's there. Like it's there, but it doesn't come out.
Yeah. Well, you're an aviator. I mean, we're taught to what? Compartmentalize.
Yeah.
You got to put all these things in the little boxes, and I call them Jack in the Box. All those things are spinning,
Yeah.
and eventually all those boxes open up.
Eventually they do.
At the wrong time.
Yeah.
You know, the Navy, the Marines, they do a great job training us how to compartmentalize, but they never train us for what happens when they all decide to open up someday.
Yeah. So, you know, you learn, even in combat, in ground combat, you know, in firefights, you have to compartmentalize. Like, what is the biggest threat at this moment, and how do I eliminate that?
Yeah.
Who do I have with me that can do that?
Yep.
How do I keep these guys alive? You know, thank God every Marine or soldier that went with me into Fallujah as part of this
Came home.
just, yeah. We just had a, you know, thrown together group of guys who went into Fallujah with me with the Iraqis, brought them all home, every single one of them.
Good job.
And thank God, you know, and I'll tell you, there were firefights where the only thing I can attribute my being here right now is hand of God. That's it.
Yeah.
And I know that there are people who listen, don't believe in God for whatever reason. Like, I know my own brothers don't believe in God. They think it's all just a made up bunch of crap. But there is no way in hell, when I look at the hood of a Humvee that I was behind during a firefight, that the rounds skipping by me, the hood was peppered with rounds.
Jesus.
Either side of me. What did that? That's divine intervention. It's the only thing that could be.
Agreed.
So, you know, during my time in Iraq, after being pulled out of Fallujah, I got sent to Task Force 626. So that was a special missions unit led organization up in Balad. From there, after a few months there, I got sent out to the Syrian border. There was a Marine Corps artillery company that was out there working with the Iraqi border forces. So I got sent out there as a liaison from higher headquarters to work with these clowns.
Oh, wow.
Made a couple little forays into Syria, searching vehicles, looking for bad guys. And then finally got sent home. Yeah, it's pretty remarkable, the stuff that we can go through. And like you said, we compartmentalize it. But when it comes out, stand the fuck by.
Correct. Yeah. So, you know, ex-wife, unfortunately almost eaten a gun. From those lows, how did the medicine start entering your life?
Yeah, so this was back in 2015 when she threw me out. I was starting to see a therapist at the VA. You know, the VA psychiatrist put me on the SSRIs, the sleep meds. You know, none of it worked. The first 7 years after I got...
The answer is pills.
Yeah, always. It's such bullshit because it doesn't work. You know, I slept 3 hours a night for 7 years.
Oh my God,
when I got
man.
back.
You can't function.
No, it was miserable, and I was miserable.
Yep.
You know, I was a prick. I was a raging C word. And so, you know, I was trying to work on myself, but it's okay. You know, I trained a lot of martial arts. I was trained Muay Thai, I taught Muay Thai, I boxed. When I was 58, I was still a sparring partner for a professional boxer, which was also miserable. And so I had no idea about plant medicine, none of it.
Of course.
When I was at my place in Idaho one summer, a few years ago now, I was talking to one of my buddies who had gone to the Mission Within, and he's a former Teams guy, 30 years, and he's like, bro, you got to go do this. It's the best thing ever. So he puts me in touch with Martin Polanco, and, you know, Martin and I talked and texted a few times, and then it just kind of sat there in the back of my mind. I started microdosing psilocybin and which helped. My primary care provider in Idaho, he said, hey, you know what? You don't want to take the SSRIs? Just don't take them. He said, citalopram is not that big a deal. You can just stop it if you want. And I said, well, let's taper it maybe.
Yeah, not cold turkey.
So I started taking it every other day for a week, then like twice a week, and then I just stopped. And I noticed no difference, no appreciable difference at all.
I should tell you something.
Right? Quit the trazodone for sleep.
Trazodone, oh man.
So I started, but then I replaced that, of course, with THC gummies with some CBD, CBN in them to sleep at night. The trazodone wasn't really helping me sleep anyway. Those seemed to work. The microdosing was helpful. I started taking mushrooms a little bit. So one day I was at my place in Idaho. This gal I was dating was over. It was the evening, and I had taken a couple of mushrooms. Like I don't know, gram.
Okay.
Maybe a little more. I'm like, this is pretty good, and I'm drinking bourbon and we're hanging out, and I start taking more mushrooms. No intention, no ceremony.
Oh no!
I just started eating mushrooms. So by the time it was over, I'm like 3-4 grams in, and it was horrible. I mean, it was fucking horrible. Fortunately, she had some experience holding space.
Oh, good.
Probably the only thing that saved me that night. Wow. I had my knife. I had my everyday carry out, and I'm starting to like put it into my wrist to cut my wrist.
Oh no!
Yeah, I was like screaming.
Ladies and gentlemen, do not do medicine without intentions.
Do not.
Not in the right setting. Not without somebody flying wings. So good lessons learned, right?
Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, I was screaming. I'm not a killer. All this stuff. It was horrible. I wasn't made for this. And like you said, we're a perfect person inside, but a perfect person doesn't shoot people. But you do when it's your job. We're trained. That's how we're conditioned.
Correct.
All that. I don't want to say your moral compass is gone, but it becomes
they do a good job
clouded
of selling it, right?
Absolutely.
We invaded a fucking sovereign country on essentially bullshit, but we didn't know that at the time. It was wrapped in apple pie, baseball, and the American flag. So when they sell it to us, they ain't. We're not the Hitler Youth. We're not.
No.
They're selling something that sounds pretty good in Afghanistan too. Like Al Qaeda. I'm like. 15 out of 19 hijackers from Saudi Arabia.
Right.
Well, why aren't? Okay, I guess you know more than I do. They didn't.
Right. Yeah.
But
weapons of mass deception.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to use that one. Yeah. So they sell us on the bullshit.
Right.
That's why, another reason I think, these medicines remain illegal for Uncle Sam is they can turn warriors into peacemakers. We see through the bullshit. You're a meat-eating, knuckle-dragging Marine, man. And now you look at, whether it's Ukraine or even Israel or anybody killing each other, we're like, stop. Fucking stop.
Yeah.
At least take a break. Go to a corner for a couple days. If you still want to kill each other after that, do it. But at least stop. But the fact that these medicines can throttle guys back from the edge of just doing horrific things to people and put them on the exact opposite spectrum. They see the value of human life. They see that, man, one of my journeys, all I saw was perfect. I saw white. I saw souls.
Yeah.
I didn't see a uniform. I didn't see a threat or an enemy. I'm like, dude, we're all the same fucking cosmic stardust, man, that appeared in an instant. We're all the same.
Right.
And only, flags and borders and shit like that separate us. So, yeah.
Sure.
So that was an ugly night.
It was.
But you got some lessons learned.
It was horrible. She somehow got me in a bed, got me calmed down. Just
the only way through it is through it.
Yeah, there's no going back.
You
not
can't untake them.
Yeah. There was no Narcan no naloxone. So this is gonna be a good ride or a bad ride. It was
a ride.
It was miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I paid my money, got the ticket, took the ride, and so that was my little experiment with psychedelics. But it was eye-opening. It let me see that. Okay, if this is done the right way, it could be really beneficial because it let me see things that I needed to see.
Yes.
Right? Like, I'm not a killer.
Yes.
I'm not this horrible person.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have a tattoo here that says in Hebrew, it translates to let us do evil so good may come. And it's you know, it's Romans 3:8 and completely taken out of context, but it had a lot of meaning to me when I put that on there.
Yeah.
So did that.
Well, and it's good. I'm glad you brought this up because, knock on wood, in the 3.5, 4 years we've been doing this, I haven't seen anybody have like something horrible like that. I've seen darkness and stuff like that, but anytime it was something dark or bad, if you reflect on it, the medicine was shining a spotlight on that shit.
Right.
So people are like, oh, I had a bad trip. I'm like, let me guess. And I can map out, before they even tell me, I get it right, exactly what happened.
Right.
So first of all, the medicine's kind of warning us, like, don't do this shit half-assed. Come in armed, intention, stuff like that. But even if you do it half-assed, I'm probably going to show you some things. I'm going to surface some stuff. Surfacing truth ain't bad. It is what it is. How you're reacting to it might be shitty.
No, you have to know the truth. You have to know the truth.
It'll set you free. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Amen.
100%. Yeah, so I wasn't really tied into, you know, I ended up doing my medicine with the Mission Within. There are lots of clinics you could go to.
I love me some Martine, man. The guy's an angel. He's a lifesaver.
I mean, you know, you talk about the epicenter of psychedelic assisted therapy for veterans, and he's it. I mean, the guy's genius. He's compassionate, caring,
empathy. He's got and the knowledge.
Yeah,
man. We were down there. You know, I went with Marcus Luttrell, JT from Black Rifle, another team guy, and then an NFL player, Robert Gallery.
Okay.
This guy was a linebacker at Iowa. I mean, I rode in the car with him, San Diego, to the retreat center. Right. I was sitting next to like a dead iceberg. He was just big and gray and dead.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think I was in the medicine for like 12 to 14 hours. He was down for like a day. I think he came down a little bit for dinner and then went right back upstairs, and the IV and everything like that. I remember we were all very worried, and Martine's like, the medicine's doing exactly what it's. Don't worry, fellas. He's getting exactly what he needed. I'm like, all right. He was right. I mean, like, 2 days later, that guy was a different human being. You know, I bumped into him at Vail like 6 months ago, literally out of the blue. I'm like, holy and he's a different human being. I think he's starting a foundation for athletes to do ibogaine or something like that.
Well, that's good because Martine, and we should probably say who Martine is for people that don't know.
Martine Polanco, he's the medical director at the Mission Within.
He's
I mean, regular listeners of this know Martine.
Okay, awesome.
He's oh god, yeah. Dude, get him on. Martine, come on the podcast, man.
Yeah, he's put himself on a self-imposed podcast hiatus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've been asked to do them together, and Martine's like,
you know what? The last time
I'm on hiatus, so Jay's gonna have to go alone.
That's funny. I forgot. He and I flew out. I took the jet out to Luttrell's place, Valhalla, and then he was on before me or after me, so we kind of overlapped on one. But it was Marcus's podcast. All right. Well, if he comes out of podcast retirement, tell him to come on. All right. So tell us about your medicine experience, because this is the heart of whenever I have a guest on who's done the medicine, because everybody's is 1,000,000,000% different. You got yours. What was yours?
Yeah. So I want to go back just real quick, talking about how, you know, our moral compass, you know, when you have PTSD, you know, it's a moral injury, right? And so I was talking with my buddy who was the SEAL for 30 years back in April. His mother passed. He came down from Washington State for the celebration of life at his parents' house. I went up from San Diego, and we were talking, and there are going to be guys that disagree, but he and I discussed that had we had medicine between deployments, we'd have been better operators on subsequent deployments, because we would have had greater moral clarity.
Amen.
We would have had greater clarity overall, better decision making.
Agreed.
You know, I say that since I did the medicine, you know, like everything is better. The sky is a brighter blue.
It's a fog that got cleared.
Completely
Everything,
cleared
you
away.
look like Neo in the Matrix. You see things.
Yeah, it's like
clear.
It's like you had, you know, not cataracts. What is it? Glaucoma.
Yeah.
Right? And the glaucoma is gone. The sky was bluer. Food tastes better. I said that even my jiu-jitsu, I can learn new techniques faster and more easily because I don't have this blockage in my brain.
You know what's funny? I actually listened to people. When I got back from the Mission Within, I was staying at the Andaz Hotel. I called my wife, Susie. It was probably the best phone call I've ever had in my life. I listened to every word she said, and I could, like, feel it. Usually I'm, like, thinking about 90 other things, what I'm going to say, or, you know. I'm like, I wrote that in my journal. I'm like, I remember that phone call. I actually listened to my wife.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
And I do. It changed the way I actually, you know, the gate agent, when I was flying back to here, you know, people were yelling at this guy and it was ugly. And I was just like, oh my God, I was like so empathetic. I got upgraded. It was weird. I'm like, God, nice. I was all of these dicks.
Right.
Being a jerk to him. I was like, dude, are you, and the guy's like, you know what? Put me up in first class. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Everything got cleaned. It was a disinfectant. Big
time. So my medicine experience, I was given a scholarship by Boot Campaign. Mm-hmm. As you know, in this community, unless you have special operations in your background somewhere, which I think I had just enough.
Yeah.
Plus Anglico, they said, yeah, we'll give you a scholarship. Mm-hmm. And they're wonderful. I mean, I can't say enough good things about Jenny Howland and Boot Campaign. One of my current board members at Mission Within Foundation was actually the founder of Boot Campaign down in Texas.
Oh, that's good. Awesome.
Yeah.
Good squadron, good group.
Yeah, the synergies in this space are just like nothing you've ever seen. Yeah. Right.
People leading with their heart and their truth. I call it the world's best Ponzi scheme. You go and unfornicate yourself, and you come home and you're like, I need to tell my brothers or my sisters. And,
absolutely.
And we all clean up.
Absolutely. Nice. Yeah. So I was supposed to go last January. So like January 5th of 2024. But in November, I was training for the IBJJF No-Gi Worlds and was rolling with one of our black belts who happens to weigh 320 pounds. He rolled the wrong way, tore 2 ligaments and a meniscus in my knee. So I still wanted to go, but then I went back to the mats too soon.
Oh, no.
Re-injured the knee, said, okay. I realized that if I went with an injury, I probably wouldn't get what I needed from the medicine. I wouldn't appreciate the full experience. So I talked to the Mission Within. They said, yep, that's a good idea. Yeah. So let's put you off till March. Mm-hmm. So went to the Mission Within in March. Met everybody in Fig Tree Cafe in San Diego down at Liberty Station.
Last meal.
Piled in a van. You know, and you say last meal, and so for a week or 2 weeks before, you cut out drinking. You know, caffeine you can have up to a couple of days before you go, but any THC, anything else you're doing, you got to stop that. Start eating a little bit cleaner than you normally would.
Yep. If you're on meds, you've talked to Martine or whoever, the medical folks, to maybe step stuff down. Don't do that shit on your own. Talk to a pro. But yeah, you should. Right. You got to go in slick, man. You got to come in clean as you can to the medicine.
Absolutely.
I mean, they do a drug and alcohol test. You can't be showing up with anything.
Yeah. We recently had a guy come down who popped for alcohol. You know, he got hammered the Tuesday before his retreat, so couldn't do the ibogaine. We did manage to get him some ketamine on grade A.
Okay.
So that was good, and then he was able to do Bufo the next day.
Okay.
So I don't know that he necessarily got the full experience that he would have if he had come clean, but
That's on him, and that's a lesson learned.
That's right.
We tell you this for a reason.
But he's still better than he was.
Amen.
There
you go.
So, so go down to Mexico. We get to the house, and this place is unbelievable. So this house, it overlooks the beach and overlooks a little canyon. And the second you walk in, like for me anyway, I just felt unconditional acceptance and unconditional love. It's just a feeling, man, and it's powerful. Like there is so much energy in that house.
That's a spiritual house. You can feel it.
You can, it's visceral.
Yeah.
And so went there. First thing you do is, everybody stays in a big room upstairs in this house. There's 6 really nice mattresses. Actually, they're really comfortable.
Yeah.
Set up on the floor, spaced out. Everybody's.
I'll never forget, Mark. We walk into that room for the first time. Marcus is like, "Why are they on the floor?" Well, you'll find out later.
Yeah. So we get there, put our bags down, go in. Everybody does medical checks, and like you were saying, it's very thorough. It's very safe. It's extremely safe environment. So there's a nurse there.
Yep.
They do
cardiologist
like you said,
shows up.
Yep. So you do blood work, piss work, EKG, blood pressure, pulse oximeter. They run an IV line so that they can push magnesium.
Just in case. Yeah.
Just in case.
Yep.
It's 100% safe. Like I had zero concerns about the safety protocols at all when I was there.
It's funny. Let's talk about this real quick because when people Google ibogaine or iboga, the fear porn's up at the top.
Of course, it is.
Over 3 decades, I think of this, maybe 30 people.
Maybe
3,000 people die every year from aspirin.
Yep.
So maybe 30, but obviously, folks, any death is tragic, but almost all of those 30 something. It wasn't the ibogaine that killed him. People showed up on heroin.
Yeah,
people showed up this.
Yeah.
So they went in the medicine. That's why we do we do testing beforehand. So
correct.
Don't listen to the fear porn. There are risks in everything, obviously, folks. But the mission within, all the places, lessons learned. We mitigate all of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, those deaths are primarily folks who had, like you said, a heroin addiction.
Or underlying heart or anything, or that's why we do the EKGs. That's why you're hooked up. So there's a lot of
they don't like you to go if you're over 60.
Correct.
I was 64 when I went, but, I'm an athlete.
Yeah, as long as they checked you out and
everything was checked out just fine. So went, did the medicine, got there, got the tour of the house, and then, you talk about why you're there, everybody shares their story, which is really bizarre. When you got a couple of teams guys,
and it's all
Marines,
strangers.
It's all
strangers. I just met those guys at the cafe
you
place.
met them 2 hours earlier, and now
here you are talking about your traumas.
And all this crap, right? And guys aren't very good at sharing anyway, right? Like we're bottled up, closed down.
Yeah.
So go do the medicine or do the prep work. You share a circle that evening. You sit down. You start ceremony, prep work for the medicine. It's a great ceremony. You're given a piece of paper and a little card. On the card, you write your intentions that you want the medicine that you want to take into the medicine. On the piece of paper, you write the intentions that you want to let go, the things you want to let go of.
Correct.
And you burn that one. You save the card. They give you the medicine. Somebody is at the bottom of the spiral staircase. It's completely not built to code, and it's Mexican code. Yeah. And so they send you up. It's very nice. You get a hug. You go upstairs.
Sage.
You get smudged upstairs with Palo Santo. You've already taken your medicine. You go into your room, get to your bed, put on your headphones, your eye mask, lay down, and just wait.
The waiting's the hardest part.
It was, I kicked in pretty quickly for me, maybe 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I see just this pinpoint of light, red light, really far away, but it wasn't there at first. So I'm like,
Am I feeling something?
I said out loud, I said, it's starting.
Buckle up.
I was stoked, right? I was so stoked for this to happen. You know, I was like, you know, from everything I had heard, which wasn't much, I intentionally did not research this shit. I didn't want to know what the experience was like. I just wanted to go in as much a blank slate as I could. The only thing I knew from my buddy who had gone, he said, it'll change your life. And he said, I have not had a drink since I went. So I just lay there. I'm listening to the music that's playing, and it's a very curated playlist that's like 24-hour playlist, you know, 72 hours. It's something
I have it on Spotify, man. When I
meditate,
I have it too. I press play, and my meditations, I'm back.
Yeah, I have the Ibo, the deep focus one, and then the Bufo playlist. Yep. I got them all. So
wait, there's a separate Bufo. You got to send it to me, man. I want that.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Check it out.
Absolutely. Yep. So do it. I'm lying there just waiting. So all of a sudden, like, my view changed, and I'm not just lying there in bed looking at this little pinprick of light. I'm lying at like Arches National Monument, right, the national park, and I'm looking up through these canyons and seeing these monuments and the sky that's like a dark black, you know, it's black sky, tons of stars, these like lavender clouds, right? And I'm like, this is pretty fucking cool. And then all of a sudden, a trapdoor in the sky opens. Boom! The shit just starts coming at me. I'm like, ruh-roh.
Yeah.
Now what?
Now what?
Now what? And it was interesting. My father showed up. My best friend showed up for a little bit. My shepherd, who I had lost like almost a year to the day before my journey, he stayed there the whole time.
Wow.
He was like my guide on this journey.
Oh, man.
So then, like, it was the goofiest freaking thing for a while. Like, I start seeing these, like, blue Disney cartoon dolphins are swimming around, and there's a merry-go-round. I'm like, I got no clue what any of this means. Like, what?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the combat and my mother, who I can't stand, all this horrible shit to show up. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they say the medicine shows you what you need, right? It gives you what you need. Yeah. But I'm like, what?
Yeah, what is this?
What is all this stuff? And I was just so engrossed in the experience that I forgot to ask the medicine what any of it meant. Mm-hmm. I'm just lying there taking it in, you know, and God knows how many hours into this thing, I start to get tired and I'm thinking, oh shit, I'm going to fall asleep. And I'm like, no, you're not falling asleep. You do not want to miss a second of any of this.
Wake up.
But it's kind of on a loop too. It's the same shit over and over and over for me. Like, you know, I would see my son the whole time at different ages, but he would always be in the car with his mother. And so, like, from when he was an infant to teenager, you know, he's 17 now. And every time he got close enough for me to be able to really see him, he had a clown mask on. I'm like, what the fuck? That one took me a really long time to figure out. So this goes on, you know, I'm in it for 12 hours. Mm-hmm. The next day, come out of it, I'm still lying in bed. I think I had dry heaves like 4 times. So not bad. You know, like, there were guys. Did
you remember it? Or was it a purge of energy, or you just didn't feel good?
I just felt like shit.
Okay.
It was horrible.
Right.
You know, every time if I got up to pee,
oh man,
and as an old guy with a big prostate who's had prostate cancer, you get up and pee. So, yeah.
And you're like a giraffe on roller skates.
Oh, I say it's like those things that blow in front of a used car lot. Yeah, so that's what it. But yeah, we call it baby giraffe legs. Yeah. So you can't walk. You need people to help you go to the bathroom. And I didn't know then that, you know, it's just 2 gals We're standing
the
there
nurses
holding you up. So it's one doctor, one nurse, and they're standing there helping you stand at the toilet to take a leak, you know. And the other thing was that during my journey, I did have, like, you know, you wear that black eye mask. Mm-hmm. I had extraocular powers.
Oh, yeah.
I could see through that friggin' mask.
And you can't. If you put that mask on right now and walked outside and looked at the sun, you won't see a ray of light. There, your third eye is so activated.
You could see people.
Clear as day. Yep.
Yeah. And 3 times during my journey, the mattress I was on levitated. And I felt it and saw it. And this is a big room that you're in. It looks like a 15, 20-foot ceiling.
Yeah.
My friggin' mattress with me on it levitated, flew across the room, through a wall, went out into the hallway area, that big open foyer that's at that house, spun around a couple times. One time it actually flew down the circular stairway, flew back up, back into the room, and landed with me on it 3 times. It was fucking bizarre. I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to crash on a Patrick who's across from me.
Power.
Yeah. So it was incredible. And then that ended. We did Bufo on Sunday. Uh-huh. My first Bufo dose was just letting go. You know, I just felt all the anger and self-hate and guilt just left my body, and I'm curled up there just in the fetal position crying. Second one was a motherfucker. I end up, my arms are straight out, legs are straight out, I'm on my back.
Starfish.
Every muscle in my body tensed up, my back arched, and I start going, the whole time, really loud. I couldn't stop any of it if I wanted to. I'm seeing perfectly geometric shaped lightning bolts in fluorescent yellows and greens against a black backdrop, entering my body, leaving through my mouth, and then all of a sudden my body is moved and I go hit a membrane and break through it. I'm like, I'm just calm. I'm still making all these noises at me, but in my head, I'm calm.
Peace.
And I'm like, I think I just died.
I died and was reborn.
I'm like, but if I died, I'm okay with this. This is pretty cool here.
Yeah.
But then as I'm thinking that, whoosh, come back the other way.
Oh my God.
The membrane, it ends mercifully. And I look at the ops guy who is holding space, and I go, bro, I want more, but I don't think I can. He's like, no, you're done. You're done.
They know. They can.
Yeah. And then the shaman, Myra's, she's an angel. She's like my personal curandera now. It's a blessing.
She's incredible.
I mean, it's a blessing from heaven.
You can see the spirit in her. She's a angel.
Yeah,
she really is.
And I looked at her and I said, did I die in there? She goes, no, you just lived.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that was it. And it became so profound for me.
Wow.
You know, completely has changed my relationship with my son. I've figured out the merry-go-round.
There was the clown in the merry-go-round.
So the merry-go-round is saying, hey, jackass, you've been on the same ride your entire life. How's that working out? Mm-hmm. Get the fuck off.
Change something.
Get off.
Yeah.
Do something different.
Yeah. You have the willpower. You have the choice.
Well, I have the tools.
There you
now
go.
I have the tools. And the clown mask, it took me months to figure it out. But in July, I finally figured out what it meant. At least my interpretation of it, which is what matters. It showed me that I wasn't seeing him for the person he really is. It's like, why isn't my kid my mini-me? Which he can't be because he's 6'3". But it's like, why isn't he my mini-me? Why doesn't he do the things I do? Why doesn't he like the things I like? Why isn't he just like me? And thank God he's not. And it was like an amazing realization.
Wow. He's him.
Yeah.
He's his own perfect soul.
He's perfect.
Blazing his own path. Wow.
So
you're seeing him through that mask.
It's a beautiful realization, but it's a kick in the balls at the same time.
Of course.
That this perfect.
But it's what? Truth.
It's truth.
Truth ain't good or bad. It just is.
It just is.
How you react to it.
Correct.
Can be good or bad.
Which leads to the other point of, I can't control what anybody's going to say or do. All I can control is my response.
Amen.
To any of that. And that's it. So the whole thing was just supremely profound, life-changing, probably life-saving. And with that, I decided to become involved. I've raised almost $2 million now.
That's fantastic.
Mission Within Foundation that Martine started. So we're funding veterans to go to Mission Within. We're sending some to Beyond in February and March.
Talia and her, I love the Beyond. Good people.
I mean, this is as they say in Japanese, it's my ikigai. Mm-hmm. It's my life's purpose.
Yep.
To save as many guys as I possibly can.
That's fantastic, man. And then aside from it's incredible you did it in March, right? The medicine?
Yes.
You're still getting downloads.
I'm still getting downloads.
I still get downloads. I'll read my journal from years ago. I'm like, man, I think I'll be integrating the rest of my life.
I think you have to.
My, executor's summary of my Bufo was I flipped in the bed. I died and I flipped. Yeah. 52, whatever year old guy doing a forward flip in a bed. It was an exorcism. It was that profound. But aside from the stuff you're still downloading, the not drinking, I see things without a fog, I'm more empathetic to people. I mean, you can't even quantify the positives out of it. It's almost impossible to I'm not a guy that throws this sentence around casually, but I was reborn. I went to the Mission Within as fucked up as a football bat, and I came back to old Whiz, so to speak.
Yeah.
My wife was like blown away. She's like, I got you back.
Yeah.
And I was gone.
It's amazing.
I was gone for a while.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I say that if everybody in society, because everybody's had some trauma, if we all did it, can you imagine how much better our society would be overall?
Dude, there wouldn't be any war. There'd be less poverty.
People wouldn't honk their horn at each other.
Bro, this ain't a popular thing. And trust me, 5 years ago, Whiz, I probably would have volunteered on death row to flip a switch. Now I'm like, you want to lower the rate of recidivism? Before you let a guy out of prison, they should sit with the medicine. You're not a fucking criminal. First of all, you paid your debt, but let me show you what's truly under here. Could you imagine if criminals were able to clean their shit? The rate of crime would go down. Could you imagine if police officers could sit with this medicine? Could you imagine having a more empathetic cop showing up instead of a dude who's ready to fucking, maybe drinking or self-medicating and has all this PTSD? Yeah. Kind of like you said, man, if you had done the medicine before another deployment, maybe I'm not as hopped up to be squeezing a trigger or stuff like that. The world would be a better place. I mean, the first psychedelic revolution with Timothy Leary, I get his, let's put it in the water. That was probably a little too far and turned some people off. But you and I, maybe this psychedelic revolution led by veterans and first responders.
I mean, that's what's really going to get the attention, right? Is that so many veterans are doing this and having amazing outcomes.
Correct.
Right? Yeah. That it's unbelievable.
I mean, I went on you've raised more money for the Mission Within, and you are physically saving lives. The VA, what was it, 2-3 weeks ago, said we're announcing a study with $1.5 million.
$1.5 million study.
Over 5 years.
What are they going to study?
It's 15 seconds of funding. The federal government spends $6 million in a minute.
Right.
So we got 15 seconds over 5 years. That's $1.5 million. If I got $1.5 million, I probably clear most of my list. Give it to us. What are you doing? So, it's one of those lead follower, get out of the way moments.
Yeah.
Tell viewers, listeners, they can go through the No Fallen Heroes Foundation. We got a long waiting list, folks. But if somebody wants to apply for a grant, explain all the process with your foundation and stuff.
The first $1 million I got was for Marines, but we're giving them a lot of extras. So they're getting seen by or talked with a psychiatrist for safety. first.
Awesome.
We're giving them hormone testing at a functional medicine place, so they get peptides and TRT if
that
indicated.
Might help guys, right, too. You know, your testosterone's...
Yeah.
My testosterone, when I was 10 years ago, whatever it was a 72-year-old. I'm like, oh, my God,
Yeah,
man.
I just injected before I came here today.
Yeah, better living through chemistry, man.
Yeah, so we're doing that. On the back end of the retreat, we're giving them 10 guided meditation coaching sessions with Wisdom Dojo.
Wow.
And we're giving them 12 integrative therapy sessions with a psychedelic therapist.
Dude, that's fantastic.
So it's a bigger package. It's about $10,000 a piece instead of the normal $6,500 or so.
Yeah. All right, so if you're a Marine, you can go that route.
Yeah,
okay.
and just apply it. You go to missionwithin.org.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have people apply directly through the foundation yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, it is missionwithinfoundation.org. But go ahead and apply to the Mission Within.
Okay.
We got you hooked up. We'll take care of you.
Awesome.
And just raised a bunch more money that we're going to be able to use for other folks as well. I mean, my goal is to just keep raising as much money as I possibly can so that I can treat every veteran, send them all to whichever clinic, as long as they have the safety protocols, and I know that Beyond does.
Correct. Yeah.
So
and Ambio, Trevor does some good work down the street from you guys.
I haven't met them yet, so I gotta meet them. But
my brother Slider's down there. That Tomcat guy, he's down there working with Trevor and Ambio. So they're Beyond, you guys, Ambio, all good stuff down there.
And we are focused on ibogaine and Bufo, 5-MeO DMT. So, some places are ayahuasca, some are psilocybin. That's
Correct.
awesome too, right? Yep. Whatever you need, go do it.
I tell people 5 years ago, Whiz, if I heard me talking like this, I'd kick my own ass.
Right.
The medicine calls to you. So there's a great resource called A Veteran's Guide to Psychedelics.
Yeah.
Read it, and you'll have one of those medicines probably.
Yeah, I think you can go to Heroic Hearts Project, get that book.
Heroic Hearts and Jesse and those guys. I think we're running long, right, Brian? All right. So as a studio guest, you get our psychedelic fighter pilot coin.
Oh, awesome, man.
Look at this. So that's our psychedelic fighter pilot. And all
right
my
on.
Stuff on the back.
I love it.
Especially since you're a tail hooker too. So
yeah, thanks so much. That's awesome. That is badass.
On the back.
I love that.
You can use it as a throwing star if anybody bad happens. But Jay, thanks for making the trek, man, to Guys Waiting Room, Boca Raton. Thanks for coming. Thanks for everything you're doing, bro. I mean, you are literally saving and changing lives.
Yeah, I hope so.
Tell Martine I love him. He's just
absolutely,
and we'll see him soon. Our docu series got funded. No Fallen Heroes Extraction. I'd love to go back down there and film. So we'll talk about that.
Yeah, fantastic.
Offline. Send me that playlist too. But ladies and gentlemen, Jay, Navy, Aviator to the Marines. I gotta check out your book. Let me get your book.
No, I'm gonna send you a copy.
That'd be
signed.
Great.
Yeah, I've got them at home.
I want to read this.
I rushed out the door and forgot. I'm an idiot.
You got like a Jimmy Buffett military career, man, all over the place, doing all sorts of shit. C-130s.
Yeah, I did
Harriers.
what I wanted. I had fun. Probably wasn't the greatest for a career path, but somehow I slipped through the cracks, got promoted lieutenant colonel. And it
brought you to here, my brother.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming, my man.
Thank you.
Yeah, God bless. Ladies and gentlemen, Jay from the Mission Within Foundation. They're giving healing grants. If you're a Marine, you get a little special access there. But thanks for coming, my brother. This is
my
the
pleasure.
way. It's going to be a great 2025. We're looking forward to getting back down there to Mexico. I miss the Mission Within. I miss that house and the hummingbirds and just everything.
It's unbelievable.
It really is from Central Casting. All right, folks. If I don't talk to you before the end of the year, have a safe and happy New Year's Eve. Have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you're hedged. Fights on. Namaste and Basi Basi. Whiz and Jay out.
Out.